Hello everyone and welcome back to the session for 10th standard, and this in particular is a very special one because today we are going to discuss the revised curriculum for class 10th just recently released by CBSE and the deleted portions. So before I actually give you the good news about the deleted lessons and poems for this session, I would like to first brief you regarding the revised curriculum for class 10th. Now, I do not know how many of you have actually gone through the previous session's curriculum, but if you have, you will notice that this session, the paper pattern has drastically changed. So, and earlier when we had, the paper divided into three sections with reading, writing, and literature. This session, though the paper is still divided into reading, writing, and literature, we have part A, part B, and instead of sections, depending upon the skill that we are assessing. So let me just give you on the outset the weightage which is given section wise in the curriculum. We have section A as reading skills, section B as writing and grammar, and section C with literature including both the textbooks, that is First Flight and Footprints Without Feet. So this is as far as the weightage is concerned. We move on to what kind of a paper it is going to be this session. So the paper is this time divided into different parts, and these parts are more or less divided depending upon objective and subjective questions. So part A is basically, if you look at the outset of the part, it is based on objective questions. So we have part A carrying a weightage of 20 marks, beginning with question number 1 under the reading section. It is going to be a discursive passage which discusses, drawing an inference, drawing a conclusion, evaluation on something that we discuss in the passage. And it will have only, mind you, only MCQs based on the discursive passage of 400 to 450 words to test your inference, your conclusion skills, your evaluation skills, and your vocabulary. So it will be 10 out of 12 MCQs. You need to solve any 10 out of the 12 MCQs given in the paper, carrying 1 mark each. So it is going to be either right or wrong. So you need to be very, very careful when you solve these kind of questions. So basically, though we might, from the looks of it, it appears to be a very student friendly and a very scoring kind of a paper, but then it is also going to be very tricky because just in case, if you have missed out on the MCQs, if you have actually ticked the wrong option, it is a clear wrong. There is no chance of getting half a mark here. If it's wrong, it's wrong. So multiple choice questions based on a discursive passage of 400 and 450 words to test inference, evaluation, and vocabulary. So as I said, there are going to be 12 questions out of which you need to solve any 10, 1 mark each. That means first question in the paper under the reading section carries 10 marks. Moving on in the reading section, we have one more passage which is going to be a factual passage. When I say it's a factual passage, it means it is based on facts. It can be scientific facts, it can be literary facts, it can be any kind of facts in the world. And you again have MCQs here, multiple choice questions based on a case-based factual passage. So it is going to be just like a case study based on facts with visual input or statistical data or a chart given, something, you can say it's kind of a data analysis given to you already, and you need to read it and then solve the questions. This is going to be a smaller passage in terms of its length. It is 300 to 350 words, and it is going to test your analysis and interpretation, how well you can interpret the data which is given in front of you. Again, 10 out of 12 questions to be answered, carrying 1 mark each. So again, the second question in part A under the reading section carries 10 marks. So you have reading, which has a weightage of 20 marks, being covered with the first 2 questions of part A itself. So reading is over. But remember, you need to be again very, very careful while solving both the passages. They are not giving you any descriptive answers here. They are not asking you any subjective questions here. All the questions are objective with options, and you need to be very, very careful while you solve them. So in order to be, 100% on the spot for the MCQs, you have to read both the passages very minutely, very, very carefully. And again, the first time that you read it, you need to understand the passage. And the second time when you read the passage, you need to keep the questions in mind and focus on your answers. So please be careful, doubly careful this time when you solve the reading passages, because you have MCQs and there can be there's no room for any kind of mistakes that you make. If you make a mistake, you lose a mark. So that reading section, again, I'm coming back, I'm telling you again and again, this time, it is obviously every time you need to read it carefully, but this time make doubly sure that you've read the passage well and that you've understood it very well. So that is it with 20 marks for the reading passage. For the reading section, we move on in part A. The total length of 2 passages, they're saying, combined together will be 700 to 750 words. The first passage is lengthier than the second one, and this you need to understand. Moving on in part A itself. So now the earlier question paper, that means the earlier sessions had question papers divided into section A reading, section B writing and grammar, section C literature. But here we have parts in this question paper. Part A has reading, literature, grammar. Again, part B will have literature, grammar, writing, so it will be a mixed bag. So, kindly keep the earlier pattern of the question papers aside. This is something very, very new to us. So here we move on in part A to the next question, that is question number 3, which comes under literature. So here both the textbooks will be taken into consideration. Both the textbooks, the main book and the supplementary reader, First Flight as well as Footprints Without Feet. Question number 3 again is MCQ, multiple choice questions based on an extract from drama or prose to test your inference, evaluation and vocabulary. So again you have MCQs, this time based on your textbook. Now they say drama or prose. So it can be basically from both the textbooks. Prose is in both the textbooks. So it can come from any of the textbooks. They have not specified the textbook here. So you need to be prepared for this particular question with both the texts. So MCQs based on an extract based question with MCQs from drama or prose to test your conclusion skills, evaluation and vocabulary. Any one out. So here again you have an internal choice. Children, you all are very lucky because everywhere, right from reading, literature, writing, grammar, they have given you internal choices. So there are so many internal choices. So you need to pick out such a question which you're very, very sure that you really can do very well. Kindly do not randomly pick up. Go through both the sets of questions which are given and only select that particular question which you can actually, where you can score full marks, 100% marks. So kindly do read the questions carefully. So again, multiple choice questions based on an extract from drama or prose to test your inference, evaluation and vocabulary. Any one out of 2 extracts to be done. So there will be 2 extracts given from prose or drama from any one of the textbooks, and you need to select any one extract. Again, it is MCQ based questions. It is for 5 marks, so 1 mark each. There are 5 questions, 1 mark each. So you need to be again very careful while selecting the question, very careful while solving it. So, the key word here is careful. Everywhere that I'll be using this word, I know it's going to irritate you a lot, but this session is all about being very, very careful. Moving on to question number 4, multiple choice questions once again based on an extract from poetry to test analysis and interpretation. So here Question number 4 is extract based question from poems. Now, when I talk about poems, we have poems only in one of the textbooks, and that is First Flight. So you need to, here we have narrowed down to the textbook, only one of them, which is First Flight. Any poetry extract, again 2 extracts will be given. Out of 2 you need to solve any one which you're very sure about, and it will be MCQ based question. 5 questions carrying 1 mark each. So part A, question number 3 and 4 are extract based questions from literature. Weightage is 10 marks. Question number 3 for 5 marks. Question number 4 for 5 marks again. And both are extract based questions, both MCQ based questions. So please be careful. We have actually seen question number 1, 2, 3 and 4, and all 4 of them are MCQs. Moving on now, again under part A, we have not changed the part of the question paper yet. We are still on part A. So here, again under part A, we move on to grammar. Yes, question number 5 comes under grammar. The weightage for grammar questions is 10 marks. Question number 5 says 10 multiple choice questions out of 12 to be answered. Questions shall be based on the following. So 12 questions randomly given to you. Out of those 12, any 10 you need to solve carrying 1 mark each. And so the weightage of grammar is 10 marks. And the topics which the grammar questions will be based on are tenses, modals, subject-verb concord, that is subject-verb agreement, reported speech. Now under reported speech, what are the types that will be asked? Commands and requests, statements and questions. So they have narrowed down reported speech from the larger area to a comparatively narrower one, a smaller one, and the questions will be based on these 3 concepts only: commands and requests, statements, questions. And then finally, the 5th concept for grammar is determiners. So you have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 concepts of grammar being tested, and you need to be very careful, again, very careful when you solve these questions. Again, they are MCQs and they are 1 mark questions. And basically, if you're wrong, you're wrong. And in any case, in grammar, you are very used to MCQs because we've had it previous sessions also. And you know that in grammar, there is no scope of half a mark at all. If your answer is wrong, it's absolutely wrong. So the deleted portion for grammar is given here itself. They have deleted the concept of use of passive voice, clauses and prepositions from the course as of this session. We do not know what comes next session, but as of now, you do not have to basically, run your mind in tandem with the use of passive voice, clauses and prepositions. You can relax. You have 5 concepts only. Now, finally, we are moving to the next part, part B, subjective questions. So, part A, as I told you, they have divided parts according to objective and subjective questions. Part A was totally objective. We had MCQs, we had 1 mark questions, and they were very short answer question type questions. We move on to part B, which is a subjective question part carrying 40 marks altogether. Again, in part B, we begin with writing. So this time we change the question number. Okay, there is no like we used to have a continuous question number irrespective of the sections. This time it's not like that. As the section changes, the question number again starts from question number 1. So here part B, under writing, question number 1, we have a formal letter which has a word limit of 100 to 120 words based on a given situation. Now here, it's quite a tricky one. They haven't said what type of a formal letter. Will they be business letters? Since they haven't used the word business letters, I am not in a position to actually tell you whether the business letters are altogether out, or should we consider that business letters are also part of this formal letter thing. So right now we take it as formal letter, any kind of formal letter, specifically letter to the editor. Word limit 100 to 120 words based on a given situation. So they will be giving you a verbal cue. 1 out of 2 questions to be answered. Again, you have an internal choice. 2 letters would be given. Out of that, you need to solve any one, and the letter carries 5 marks. Moving on in the writing section, question number 2, writing an analytical paragraph. Now, 10th standard, y'all are very lucky people indeed, because that 10-mark harrowing story writing task has been actually removed from your curriculum. Even the previous curriculum which had come for this session did not include story writing for y'all. And this is a piece of good news, because story writing task had actually carried 10 whopping marks, and where you could have lost any number of marks, because not everybody is a gifted story writer. So y'all are very lucky. We have narrowed down the weightage of marks for writing to 10 marks, formal letter carrying 5 marks, and now you have writing a paragraph, and not any paragraph, it's an analytical paragraph. Again, word limit is 100 to 120 words, and this paragraph will be based on a given outline or a given data or a given chart or any kind of visual or verbal cue. And again, you have an internal choice. There will be 2 questions given for paragraph writing, out of which you need to solve any one, again carrying 5 marks. So here under writing, you have a formal letter and writing an analytical paragraph, both carrying 5 marks each. And then you have, so here it becomes 10 marks for writing. Moving on. Please, moving on in the sense we are moving under part B only. So moving on in part B, literature, it carries a weightage of 30 marks. Question number 3. Here you have short answer type questions. We are very familiar with short answer type questions. We did it last session for 9th standard as well. Again, short answer type questions carrying 2 marks each. 4 out of 6 short answer type questions to be answered in 20 to 30 words. Short answer type is short answer time. Do not waste your time elaborating the answer unnecessarily. Do not give any unnecessary details which the question does not look for, and kindly stick to the word limit as far as possible. 4 out of 6 short answer type questions to be answered in 20 to 30 words each, from first flight and footprints without feet. So here they have specified. Here you already know how many will come from which book. So here they say for question number 3, short answer type questions, 2 questions. They will be giving you 3, out of which you need to solve 2 questions from first flight. And again they will be giving you 3, and out of which you need to solve any 2 from footprints without feet. So here, 2 questions from first flight and 2 questions from footprints without feet, carrying 2 marks each. 2 into 4 is 8, so this question carries 8 marks. So this is a simple question which you already are aware of, which you are accustomed to, so I don't have to brief you regarding this much. Moving on to question number 4, it again comes to short answer type questions. 4 out of 6, so again 4 out of 6 questions from first flight and footprints without feet. Again 2 from first flight and 2 from footprints without feet. Again carrying, now these are 3 mark questions. Okay, please remember, do not get confused. Earlier we had 2 mark questions. The word limit for those questions were 40 to 50, but now the word limit for 2 mark questions is 20 to 30, and the word limit for 3 mark questions is 40 to 50 words. So there will be a bit of a difference in these questions. The 2 mark questions will look for a shorter answer, a more exact answer, and the 3 mark questions will have a little more of an elaborative answer where you need to describe a little, only a little mind you, because it's again a 3 mark question and the word limit is 40 to 50 words only. Kindly stick to the word limit. And here you will have 2 questions from first flight, 2 from footprints without feet. So again 3 into 4 is equal to 12 marks. So question number 4 for literature carries 12 marks. Moving on to question number 5. Now we move on to the long answer type questions. So here it says 1 out of 2 long answer type questions from first flight to be answered in about 100 to 120 words each, to assess creativity, imagination and extrapolation going beyond the text and across the texts. This can be a passage-based question taken from a situation or plot from the texts. They have said this can be. It is not necessary that it will be a passage-based question. It may happen that it is. So again, two questions given, you need to solve only one based on first flight, only first flight, and it carries 5 marks. So these are questions which will test your imagination, which will test your comprehension and how much you can go beyond the story of the textbook, how much you can create and imagine, and it carries 5 marks. Is a word limit given here? Yes, it is 100 to 120 words. Again, please do not try to cross the word limit. You know, 5, 10, 20 words here and there does not matter. But then kindly do not write pages wherever it is not necessary. Now question number 6, again a long answer question. 1 out of 2 long answer type questions. Now this time from footprints without feet on theme or plot involving interpretation, extrapolation beyond the text, and inference or character sketch to be answered in 100 or 120 words. So out of these two questions, I think one would be based on interpretation and extrapolation going beyond the text, and one would be based on inference, how well you can understand and conclude, or character sketch to be answered again in 100 to 120 words. Again, this is for 5 marks. But this time, this question is from footprints without feet. So kindly remember, I've told you hundreds of times, be careful while selecting which question you need to solve, because you only will understand how much you know about the question and how well you can answer it. So kindly be very, very careful and wise when it comes to selecting which question to solve. Now, this is it from the question paper point of view. So this question paper basically, instead of being divided into section A, section B, section C, though the weightage has been divided into the same thing, the question paper has been divided into two parts. It's part A and part B. Part B is objective type questions and part B is subjective questions. So likewise, you need to follow. Objective questions will have MCQs. Subjective questions are descriptive questions, are looking for descriptive answers, and you need to stick to the word limit when you solve them. Now, the prescribed textbooks, as we all know, First Flight text for class 10th and Footprints Without Feet, the supplementary reader for class 10. This is English language and literature. Now, the good news, the deleted portion. I don't know how you take this, children, but then somehow the teachers were not happy. This was not good news for us, because I guess most of us have taught much of this portion already, and even if we haven't taught, teachers are never happy giving you a smaller portion to study, right? Okay, so the deleted portions are from First Flight. Kindly mark it in your textbooks or your PDFs, please. How to Tell Wild Animals. This was a poem. This has been deleted, not for you this session. You can just read it for fun. Trees, again a poem. Fog, Midgeville the Otter, for Anne Gregory. So out of this, Midgeville the Otter was a lovely lesson. You can just go through for extra reading. It was a nice lesson to read. But then since, 30% reduction was something which was inevitable this session due to the unfortunate situation that we are stuck in. It's okay, you can just go through these if you wish, just for fun, just for extra reading. But these are the deleted lessons and poems from First Flight. I repeat: How to Tell Wild Animals, Trees, Fog, Midgeville the Otter, and For Anne Gregory. Moving on to Footprints Without Feet, the supplementary reader for class 10. The deleted portion is not as much as what we had from First Flight. It is The Midnight Visitor, A Question of Trust, and The Book That Saved the Earth. So 3 lessons have been deleted from the second book, that is Footprints Without Feet. Now when we come for words and expressions, that is your workbook for class 10, part 2 has been deleted. So this is it, children, the revised curriculum for class 10. Along with the deleted portion. I hope you have actually understood and grasped every bit of it. If there is any query, you can just post a message. That's all for today. Thank you, class.